All right, good morning. I am standing in the right spot, and my name's Katie Lynn, and I get to talk to you about zoning. And zoning is extra awesome because it affects every single piece of land. So the land that we're standing on right now has a set of rules, and those rules tell us what we can and cannot do. So as Janelle was talking about signing a lease, before you sign a lease, you have to figure out if that piece of land will allow you to do the business that you want to do. So zoning tells us rules about what activities we can do. So for example, if a neighborhood or a lot is zoned for residential, you probably cannot build a nuclear plant there, and you may not be able to build a restaurant or a grocery store there. Similarly, we have rules about facilities. So if it's zoned for residential, again, you probably cannot build a skyscraper, but you may be able to build a small one-story or two-story building there. So your first step is to go to your city's planning department, and they'll probably hand you something that looks really confusing at first, the zoning map. And you may say, oh my goodness, I have no idea what's going on in that map, which is what I said, but it's only because there are so many little zones tucked into a city. But if we zoom in, you can see that it becomes much more clear. So if we wanted to work in Oakland at MacArthur and 90th, it's zoned for something called CN3. So every zone has a different label to it, and then all you have to do is look up that label and see what's allowed. So if I wanted to start a business there, I would look it up in the code, and I would see something like this, a chart, and it tells us what's permitted or allowed, which are Ps. It tells us what we need a special permit for, which is a C, and we have to apply for, and that costs money and time. And it also tells us what's not allowed with a little dash. So if we're looking for Ps, so we can do the business that we want to do. And for example, if I wanted to start a full service restaurant, I could probably do that there. There's also some additional rules that I would need to look up, which is what the L tells us. But if I wanted to start a convenience market, I would have to go through a lengthy process to try to get the ability to do that. You also need to look up what's zoned for, what facilities are zoned. So if I wanted to do a sidewalk cafe there, I'm in luck because it's permitted. But a drive-in, I'm not so lucky. So if that was my dream, I may be feeling like so bummed because the perfect spot doesn't fit, and I may look a little like this, but actually it's not so bad, because a city has so many different zones that it's likely that you can find another spot that will work for you. And the city zoning department, the planning department, has a lot of resources to help you find what you need, and they have like a hotline that you can call, and a website, and an office. So you should definitely use those resources when you're trying to figure out whether or not the spot that you want to use is zoned for your activity. So 3 things to remember. Zoning tells you what activities you can do in a spot. Zoning tells you what types of buildings or facilities are allowed in a spot. And your city planning department can help you navigate zoning, so call them and visit them as many times as you need.